Hello everyone, I welcome you for this webinar, and today's webinar is going to be on Scrum meetings. The Scrum meetings is one of the important topics in PMI-ACP certification exam. Okay, so I'm going to discuss how these meetings are going to be held, what are the purpose of this meeting, and what is the procedure of doing this meeting, and what is the accomplishment is done at the end of these meetings. Okay, so before I start the session, to tell a little bit about myself. So my name is Niranjan. I'm a SAFE program consultant. SAFE stands for Scaled Agile Framework for Enterprises, and I'm an Agile coach and a trainer. So I'm a PMI certified, Agile certified practitioner. I did the first batch PMI-ACP, and I'm a certified Scrum professional, certified Scrum master, and also, as I said, I'm a SAFE program consultant. Okay. I have around 21 years of experience, and last 4.5 years of experience. Last 4.5 years, I'm working as a consultant and an entrepreneur. So I use my time to do consulting and coaching and training in Agile methodologies, mainly in Agile methodologies. So till now I have trained around 1,500 professionals and conducted 40 plus organizations training. Okay. I'm also a core committee member for Bangalore chapter for Agile Leadership Network. Okay, so let's start the session. So the Scrum Framework in broad, in general, consists of roles, ceremonies. Ceremonies means meetings, and artifacts. Okay, so today's session we will be discussing what are the different types of meetings, how it is going to be held in Scrum. Okay, so we'll start discussing sprint planning. How do we do sprint planning? And we'll touch upon little on the daily Scrum meeting and broad backlog grooming meeting, the sprint review, and sprint retrospective. Okay, so
All right, Niranjan, I have muted you. So please unmute yourself once your alarm is completed. I guess, guys, Niranjan alarm is coming and saying him that webinar is going to start. Niranjan, I hope you have stopped your alarm now. All right,
yeah.
You can proceed.
Yeah, the sprint planning. The purpose of sprint planning is to make a sprint commitment. So the sprint commitment involves the involvement of all the team members. Okay, so what we normally do at the start of each sprint is we make a sprint commitment. The Scrum team has to make the sprint commitment. Okay, so only after make the Scrum team, they make the sprint commitment, they start working on what they committed. Okay, so how do they go about it? So they'll start with the first item in the product backlog, because that is the item which has got the highest business value to the product owner. So by default, any Scrum team has to start focusing on the item which is on the top of the product backlog because of the highest business value. Okay, so while committing, the team has to take care, don't overcommit. Okay, if they overcommit, the quality might suffer. So the goal of the sprint planning meeting is when the team is making the commitment, it should be clear to everyone. So it has to be understood by everyone. Okay, and it requires a participation of all the team members. Okay, so for all the people who are to attend the Scrum planning meeting, the sprint planning meeting, is that one is entire Scrum team has to be the part of the meeting, and product owner, and if you have a proxy product owner, he can also be the part of the sprint planning meeting, and the sprint master or a Scrum master. Okay, and if any stakeholders are there, they can also be part of this meeting. Okay, so normally it requires 1 to 2 hours of duration. Okay, the whole entire sprint duration. It should not take too time. So for a sprint of maximum 4 weeks, it should get over in 2 hours, or at the most 2 to 4 hours, 1/2 day. Okay. So there are 3 parts to the sprint planning meeting. One is team has to understand what are the things that product owner wants to be done in the current sprint. So it's like telling what is there in the product owner's shopping list. Okay, once team is told what product owner wants to be focused, then team should also identify how much available time have for this current sprint. For example, what happens is sometimes some members may be on plan for leave, and because of that the team members may not be available for the full time sprint. So in that case, based on the available time, we have to plan what we can take. In maybe the second sprint, the entire team is available. In that case, the team can commit more work. When the certain team members are not available for the entire duration of the sprint, because of less available time, the team can come less amount of work. Okay, so it is like telling how much money we have in our account. So then, based on the productive time, the team takes how many product backlog items in the current sprint. So it's like telling how many items we can purchase from the shopping list. Okay, so the 3 parts to this equation. Okay, so let's discuss one by one. Okay, so first, how the team understands the details of the product backlog which product owner has finalized. So this is normally discussed in sprint pre-planning meeting. Okay, I'm going to tell you when this is sprint pre-planning meeting is going to be held. Okay, so then other 2 parts of the planning meeting is held on the sprint planning meeting day. So the sprint planning meeting day is first day of the sprint. Okay, so let us take an example of 2-week sprint. So now here, let us say the current sprint is getting over on Friday. Okay, so since this current sprint is getting over on Friday, the next sprint is going to start on next Monday. Okay, so then the next sprint will go for next 2 weeks. So if this sprint has to start on the Monday, the sprint planning has to go smoothly. So if the sprint planning has to go smoothly, then the team members have to be clear about what are the product backlog items product owner has finalized to take up on that particular day. So if there are any clarifications or if things are not clarified, then team may get stuck and they may not have the sprint planning meeting completed. So because of that, normally the pre-planning meeting is scheduled few days before the sprint planning meeting. While the current sprint is in progress, maybe some part of a day, maybe let's say Wednesday, let's say the second week in the Wednesday, the team can plan maybe 1 hour pre-planning meeting for the next sprint. Okay, it's something like, it's also could be like a product backlog grooming meeting. Okay, so during this pre-planning meeting, they discuss what are the things and are there any clarifications is sought. Okay, so let's discuss how do we conduct the pre-planning meeting. So in this, as I said, it happens few days before the end of a sprint and start of the next sprint. And here the product owner run through the items, okay, and he makes sprint entire Scrum team to understand what are the items that needs to be taken. So during this process, if team has got any questions, clarification, okay, so they can ask. Okay, and all the questions, clarifications, those things can be sorted out, and team spends some time here. And if any extra time is needed, since this meeting is already planned few days before, the team will has adequate time to get things closed before the sprint planning activity. Okay. So now once this is done, the planning activity starts on the first day of the sprint. So the second activity in the planning meeting is to calculate how much time the team has got in that sprint. Okay. So let us example. Okay. So let us say there is a sprint length of 2 weeks and we have 8 work days. Okay. Assume. Okay. 8 work days. So in this case, the Tracy, assume the 4 people are working for this team, and Tracy is available for 8 days only. Okay, and she is available for 4 hours per day. Okay, and Sanjay is available 7 days, and he is available for 5 hours per day. So his availability will be 35, and Tracy's availability will become 32 hours for the entire duration of the sprint. So similarly, Phillips, Jing, both they are available for 24 and 25 hours for the entire sprint. Okay, so now if we add the individual availability, then we will get the total availability of the sprint. Okay, so this comes to approximately 2 plus 7 plus 11, 6, 16. So 7, 9, so 116 hours. So this comes to 116 hours. So that means this team has got 116 hours only as an available time for the sprint. But if you actually the capacity of the time and the team, if the so if you take the actual capacity, assuming 6 hours per day and 8 days, okay, so 6 hours per day into 8 is 48 hours multiplied by 4 people. So approximately it will come to 200 hours. So the 200 hours is the capacity, but the total capacity is 200 hours. Team members are available up to 116 hours. So that is very important. So we cannot take up to 200 hours when the team members maximum time it is 116 hours. So this is most important. So we have to take up to 116 hours. So that is the second part of the planning meeting. Okay. So then once the available time is known, then the team will take the first part backlog item, okay, and then start identifying what are the sprint tasks, okay, and also identify the responsibilities. So the task could be normal, any is software development life cycle task. Like we need to have some designing task, we need to have some coding task, we need to have some testing task. Okay, so let us say the first product backlog item is enable all users to place book in shopping cart. If this product backlog item has to be implemented, the tasks required are there has to be somebody has to design the business logic, somebody has to design UI, and somebody has to focus on front-end code, back-end code, testing tasks like that. So that responsibility has to be agreed by the team members. Okay. So once this is done, when all the sprint tasks are identified, then the next activity is to calculate how long the task is going to take. So for this, every task has to be estimated in terms of hours. Okay, so here Tracy has estimated it's going to take 4 hours. Similarly, Sanjay has estimated designing UI will take 2 hours. So like this, every team member will estimate all the sprint tasks which is taken by them. So when estimation of all the tasks are done, then if you add the estimates of each of these tasks, then you will get a total estimate for a total effort needed to complete this product backlog item. So in this case, if you add like 4 plus 2, 6 plus 2, 8, 10, 16, 24 plus 4, 28. So this product backlog item takes 28 hours to completely done, developed, and tested. So since this gets over in 28 hours, since the team has got 116 hours as available time, still a lot of time will be left in the sprint. So the team now can start planning, and they can pull the next product backlog item which is in the next order of priority in the product backlog, and start identifying the tasks and responsibilities and the estimates. So let us say this second product backlog item, which is upgrade transaction processing module, takes 48 hours. So 48 hours plus 28, 76 hours. So still if you deduct from 116 hours, some more time will be left. So then again the team can plan the third item in the product backlog. So this will take 15 hours. So like that, the team till they reach 116 hours, they can take as many product backlog items till they reach 116 hours. Okay, that is how the team can make sprint planning, and once the sprint planning is done, then they make a commitment. So in this case, let us say the 1, 2, and 3 items can be done in 116 items in 16 hours. Then the team will make a commitment of 3 product backlog items in the current sprint. Okay, the next sprint, again the situation may be different. So that depends upon how much available time is there for the next sprint, and that will come to know only when we are starting the next sprint. Okay, so that we don't have to worry. So now when this is done, the sprint planning activity is over, and sprint makes the team makes a commitment. Okay, then they start the activity. Okay, so this is the sprint backlog. So the standard sprint backlog, a general sprint backlog will look like this. So it will have a story, user story, all the tasks, story or any product backlog item. So, and all the tasks. Okay, and if you look at here, the 0, 1, 2, 3, this is a number of days. Okay, and the effort here is effort remaining. Okay, so here it is 114. Actually, it should have been 116. It is not 114. So this is 116 hours remaining on the 0th day of the sprint. Since the team has not consumed any effort on the 0th day, whatever the estimates, that effort will be remaining. Okay, and as the team starts working every day, then the team members will start spending some effort, and at the end of every day, every team member has to update against his or her task. What are the total number of hours remaining to be completed? So we have to be careful. We should not capture how many hours completed. We should capture how many hours remaining to be completed. Okay. So in this case, I will ask you a question. Tracy has entered 4 hours remaining, and Tracy estimated 4 hours at the end of the first day. So what do you think would have occurred on that day for Tracy? So this question is for the audience. So please tell me what you think would have happened on that day for Tracy. Okay, Tracy's work is complete. No, if Tracy's work is complete, Hemant, then it should be 0 on the first day. Remaining is 0. Tracy didn't work that day. Joby says, yeah, maybe that is possible. Since Tracy didn't work, so she has not spent any effort at all. That is why entire 4 minus 0, the whatever she estimated, that is remaining here. Okay, or it could be like she is not able to progress with her task at all on that day. Okay, so like this. So it will block. So because of this, like as Ani said, it will also block other tasks. So like this, every team member has to update against their respective task, how many hours is remaining. Then everything is done on the first day. Like if the task is not started, they can just copy the whatever is estimated. Okay, so here in this case, second product backlog item is not started at all. That's why the remaining hours on the first day is same as that what it was estimated on the 0th day. Okay, so then now if you look at, if I add all these things, then if you get the total, it comes to 104 hours. So out of 116 hours, now 104 hours is remaining. So at the end of the first day, like that, every day the team members have to update while before going home the number of hours. If that particular task is over, then the effort will be 0. The remaining effort will be 0. So then we can say that on that day particular task got over. Okay. So this is how the sprint planning and the tracking has to happen. Okay. So next, during the sprint, the one more meeting which is done on everyday basis. So we have to know, the Scrum team has to know what is happening on daily basis. Otherwise, if it don't monitor, then they may end up with not having proper clarity. Okay, so that's the reason they do something called daily stand-up meeting. Okay, so it is also called daily Scrum meeting. So here the goal of the stand-up meeting is to keep the team coordinated and also to update each other. Okay, that is one. And also another purpose of this meeting is to identify the blocks, the daily blocks. So these are all surface blocks, not deep blocks. So if the team knows what are the blocks for that day, then they can think of resolving these blocks on daily basis so that their work goes smoothly. So here normally, if you look at the picture, the people stand, they don't sit. Okay, that is why the alternate another way of calling this meeting a daily stand-up meeting. Okay, so people normally they stand and they don't sit, and it's all informal atmosphere. Okay, and they keep facing each other, and the typical duration of this meeting will not last maximum 15 minutes, or it is less. It will go more than 15 minutes. Okay, when do you want to have a daily stand-up meeting is also a question. So the daily stand-up meeting, there are certain guidelines. So daily stand-up meeting can be held on maybe on before the work gets started, before the work gets started on the first activity in the morning, or it can be done at the end of the day. So normally this is not scheduled in between the meeting. Okay, so in between the day. So because the team should know what happened on previous day, based on that team should decide what they are going to accomplish on that particular day. So that can be better known if they do the meeting at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day. Okay, and here every team member has to report 3 things. Okay, what did I do since the last meeting or last day? What will I be doing by next meeting or today? And what are my blocks or what's coming in my way? Okay, to accomplish what I planned today. Okay, every team member has to report 3 things. So in this process, when team members are reporting, the blocks gets reported. Okay, so like maybe I will just do a small demonstration. Say in this case, I'm not able to, okay, attendees are there. Okay, let us say in this case, Joby and Jayanti. So Joby and Jayanti is there. Okay, team members. Okay, and Jayanti assume is a developer and Joby is a UI designer. Okay, Jayanti in her stand-up, she can say, okay, till yesterday I was working on backend work and I finished the backend work. So today I'm going to start UI, and to start working on UI, I need UI guidelines which I'm not able to find. So that means that is a block for Jayanti to start her work. Okay, so now the Scrum Master will make this as a point in the daily stand-up meeting, and he will just write it as UI guidelines. Whether UI guidelines is not there or it is done, that we don't know, and we will not discuss this too much. Okay, this meeting is only reporting the 3 things, not to have discussions. Okay, so now the block number 1 is UI guidelines. So like this, every team members, when they start discussing, when they start reporting those 3 things, the blocks will be identified. Okay, so there is a question here. Let me go through the question. Where can I watch a replay of this webinar? I think the webinar replay can be made available already. I think I will tell our Whizlab organizers to send it to you. So like this, every team member has to report these 3 things, and then the end of the daily Scrum meeting, we will have the list of blocks. This list of blocks will tell us the impediments for that day, and who is going to resolve? The team. Team has to resolve it, and who will help them to resolve? The Scrum Master. So how the team will resolve? So they have not discussed. So this discussion will only happen after the meeting ends. Okay, and maybe the respective team members who are supposed to resolve this block can join together and discuss how to remove this block. Like example, in this case, Jayanti and Joby. So Jayanti is a developer and Joby is a UI designer. The Scrum Master can arrange meeting between these 2 people, and he can facilitate this meeting and ask Joby, since you are a UI designer, so since Jayanti wants it, so what is the status of the UI guidelines? Then Joby can say, yeah, I'm almost done with the work and maybe it will take another 45 minutes to 1 hour to complete. Then she can start the work. So like this, every block has to be resolved. If you don't resolve this block, then that block starts getting pending and that block starts getting weighted. So then more and more such blocks are waiting, then the team velocity gets impacted. Then speed of the team work from the entire team starts getting reduced. So one of the crucial thing is to remove these blocks early as possible. And Scrum Master plays a very important role here to see that these impediments gets resolved as quickly as possible by facilitating all the necessary parties to be involved. Okay, and there are certain guidelines how to do the daily Scrum meeting effectively. Like, see, there are some Scrum values like, courage, openness, okay, and respect. So here the team members also should ensure that this daily Scrum meeting is done effectively. Like one of the ways of having effective daily Scrum meeting is every team member participate frankly, truthful reporting of what is happening, okay, and also the way in which the report also has to add lot of value. Like example, in one of the organizations where I was coaching, so there was this team, they called me, can you please observe this daily Scrum meeting and give us your feedback about how this meeting is going on. Then I told them, see, I cannot give feedback just by one meeting. I need to observe the pattern. So if you allow me to go through some 3-4 meetings, then maybe looking at the pattern, I may give some feedback. How is the effectiveness of the meeting? So during this course, what happened is first day when I went, the Scrum meeting, the daily Scrum meeting started, and there was one QA guy, the tester. So he started reporting like this. Yesterday I was doing testing. Today I am going to do testing. Second thing. Third thing, no blocks. Then I kept silent. I didn't say anything. Then again second day, same standard way of reporting. Same 3 standard things got reported. Yesterday I was doing testing. Second, today also I am doing testing. No blocks. Like this continuously, 3 to 4 days he was telling. And because of this, in fact, nobody was questioning him. Then I was not happy the way in which this is happening. Then I went and told the Scrum Master after the meeting got ended. I gave my feedback. Since I'm not happy with certain members, how they are participating. So then he asked me, where do you think his effectiveness is not there? Then I told, say there is one QA person, so he is reporting like this. Then Scrum Master, in fact, he started justifying, yes, he is doing testing, that's why talking like that. Then I said, see, I'm not denying that he's not doing testing, but the problem is the way in which he reports should add value to the other team members. See, even testing also has certain life cycle activities like test writing, test execution, test reporting, and also he can tell in which module he has been working on, what percentage of work has been accomplished. If he starts talking like this, then it will add value to other team members. So this is one of the ways of ensuring the effectiveness of daily Scrum meeting. And also, it requires some more guidelines. Is like we can discuss lot many guidelines, but today in this session I will discuss few things only from the interest of time. Okay, like some other guidelines could be team members have to be frank. Unless they are frank, if they try to not tell the issues which is blocking, then deliberately trying to not to tell, that's not the right way. So they have to be open. Openness is one of the Scrum values. They should exhibit openness. They should have courage to expose themselves. See, if you come up with the issues, blocks as early to the sprint, it gets sorted out and chances of delivering will be higher. Here, the entire team is going to be dependent, and the entire team, if people are not participating openly, then whole team might get impacted. So that is why the openness also is very important, and team members should not feel anything that I will become a bad guy by exposing myself. That's not the point here. The idea here is more I'm open, I tell what impediments I'm having, such that as a team we find out how this can be solved. Okay, so like this, there are some more guidelines which we can always discuss in our detailed class. Okay, so this is how the daily stand-up Scrum meeting can be held. Do you have any questions here? Okay, another thing which I missed telling you is the recommended is team and Scrum Masters. Okay, so normally we should not entertain other people. If any external team member or external member has to come, then he can be an observer. He will not take part as an effective, not an active participation. So more, if you allow external member to take part, then the focus of the team may get lost. Okay, I think there are no questions, so I will proceed next. So like this, every day the daily Scrum meeting has to be done, and there is something called product backlog refinement meeting. So this meeting, the goal of the meeting is to prepare the team for the upcoming sprints. Okay, there is a question. Let me go through what is the question. Can this meeting be conducted in on-site or offshore mode? On-site, offshore mode, if you do it, I think the effectiveness gets reduced. If the teams are distributed in 2 different locations, I would suggest there should be a separate location-specific daily Scrum meetings. If there are 2 groups are located in 2 locations, okay. But maybe if one of the team members is in offshore, he can. But if the 2 team members are split, I would suggest they have their own separate daily Scrum meeting according to what activities they do. So hope it's clear to you, Hemant. So the product backlog refinement meeting, the goal is to prepare for upcoming sprint. Okay, so it helps to get clarity about what are the product backlog items to be taken for the next sprint. So, and also if any product backlog items have to be split, if the product backlog items are bigger and they have to split into smaller ones, this meeting is used to discuss and split those items in appropriately. Okay, so and this activity is an ongoing, and it can be done throughout the Scrum project, Scrum or the sprint. Just like daily Scrum, it can be done throughout. Okay, so some of the activities what normally done as a product backlog refinement meeting is one is we can add certain activities to the product backlog, or any splitting of the items is required, that also can be done. Or if 2 smaller items be merged into one larger item, that also can be done. Or if any estimation has to be done, if things are not clear, so that estimation has to be done clearly, that also can be done as a product backlog refine meeting. The whole idea here is by doing the refinement of the product backlog, we get prepared for the next upcoming sprints. Normally this is done for us to get better prepared for the next upcoming sprint rather than getting stuck when the sprint is going to start. So if you don't do sprint planning, what I discussed just now, then the team will not be able to finish sprint planning. If this sprint planning gets impacted, actually the sprint execution also gets impacted. in order to do all these things, team should be very clear. That is why this product backlog refinement meeting is required. So, yeah, the pre-planning and refinement meeting, yeah, both are, it can be same. It can be same. Okay, what I said is pre-planning meeting can be one-time activity, but refinement can be any point of the sprint it can be done. Okay. So here the product owner also participates. Okay. Approximately a team can spend 5 to 10% of their available time in the sprint for doing product backlog refinement. Okay. So this is a sort of a rough guideline. So then what else? The next one meeting is sprint review. So this is going to be done on the last day of the sprint. So here this will help the team to see and demonstrate what they have done, and normally what they have committed will be demonstrated so that the product owners and his stakeholders are very clear and they can approve the sprint, that sprint is successful. Okay, so certain things in this sprint review is to know what are the things that has been built, and also to know whether the product backlog items that committed are adhering to minimum level of quality. Okay, and also to come up with some ideas of improvements for the next sprint. If the team is not able to do certain activities, those things can be taken, that can be reviewed. During review, those things can be identified as an improvement areas. Okay, and also lastly, to know what was committed, whether the team has delivered. Okay, so who are the part of this meeting? Here you can call each and every stakeholders, whereas daily Scrum meeting you don't need to call. So this is going to be very important meeting where the stakeholders' views are also important. All the stakeholders had to be involved along with the Scrum team and product owner. Okay, Scrum team and product owner has to be there, plus the relevant stakeholders who are going to give the feedback about the sprint review. Okay, and it is going to be a real demonstration, not a static prototype or a PowerPoint show or things like that. It is a real complete working software. Okay, so again, time duration is 1 to 2 hours, and here I'm going to touch upon certain things, how to do the sprint review effectively. So here there's something called definition of done. So we should know, the team should know when they are done their work. If the team can draw a line when they are done with the work, then the product owners also, if they are clear, product owners and stakeholders clear, okay, this is, if the team does these activities, they are done with their work, then they can agree and say that, okay, guys, you have done with your what you committed. So for this, team has to establish which we call in Scrum called definition of done. This is called DOD. DOD stands for definition of done. So every Scrum team has to establish their definition of done. So, and if the definition of done is identified and agreed with the product owner and his stakeholders, then there is a clear-cut agreement, and then the sprint review is done against this definition of done. Then it will be more effective and more objective. Otherwise, it becomes open-ended. Sometimes it becomes subjective. Then team will not be able to come to any sort of conclusion. So maybe Scrum team may try to put onus on the product owner. Okay, you guys did not tell what exactly needs to be done. Maybe product owners may put onus back on the team. You guys did not do what we have asked. So in order to prevent all these kind of discussions, better to have a definition of done. The sprint review is done against definition of done and the acceptance criteria. So normally the acceptance criteria will be given by the product owner, and definition of done will have to be identified by the Scrum team and then agree with the product owner. Okay, so I will tell you certain things which could be in general can be done as a part of definition of done. Like one of the things to do is the code has to be unit tested, okay, and also it has to be code reviewed. So without code review is done and code review comments are closed, we should not even think of giving it for sprint review. So we can say that, okay, checklist item DOD item number 1, okay, code has to be reviewed and comments have to be closed before the sprint review. Second item is every code which is going for sprint review has to be unit tested. So without unit testing done, then such a code will not be given for sprint review. So there are some important things. Otherwise, if you don't do the unit testing and if you just check in the code, then you may land up in a lot of quality issues which will impact the customer, and the team may lose the reputation. Okay, so the code review is the developers will demonstrate. Okay, Scrum Masters also can be part of this team. The product owners can just do the review. Okay, it is more of a collaboration activity. The product owner is also a part of a meeting. What is the frequency of this meeting after every sprint? No, this is only one-time activity which is done at the last day of the sprint. So this has to be done on the last day. Before that, it's team's job to take care of all these DOD items to be taken care. So, and their daily work. See, normally what happens is DOD is put on the wall. Like example, if you see in this picture, you can see some visible information radiators. So team can paste what is their definition of done. So like they can say one of the activities is to test, unit testing should be done, code has to be commented, closed, and another item could be no showstoppers. Okay, at least 90% of acceptance criteria should be tested. So like this, if they write it and paste it on the boards like this, then team will have visibility for the team to look at it and see that these are the things that should be taken care during the sprint. Okay, so is that clear, Jayanti? Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's how the sprint review can be effectively done. Okay, the DOD is very important. So that is thing which I wanted to touch upon. And one meeting after when the sprint review is done, before we start the next sprint, the one more activity or a meeting which is done is called retrospective. This retrospective is to reflect upon what has been done till now and how well we have done. Are there any improvement areas? Okay, before we start the next sprint. So here, one of the ways is to ask the product owner and stakeholders what improvement areas they want Scrum team to take care. And also, second part of the retrospective meeting is team can sit separately and identify the areas of improvement. Okay, so and again the duration is 1 hour, and team can come prepared how to participate in the retrospective meeting. So one way of doing is discussing these 4 things. What went well during the sprint? So every team member, like example, if you see in this picture, so every team members there just explain what went well or what could have been better. Once team identify what went well, those could be identified as strengths. Then team can also discuss what could have been better. So normally what could have been better are the areas of improvement. So then team can identify what are the things to be tried for the next sprint, so that they become better team. So third thing is that. So normally what could have been better are the areas which should be tried in the next sprint. Okay, and also team can capture if are there any issues to be escalated to the upper management. Okay, like example, they had planned for a test environment, so that did not arrive. So that could be one of the issues to be escalated. Okay, so or maybe there is no adequate infrastructure available to do the sprint review. Maybe they can escalate this kind of issues to upper management. So like this, the sprint retrospective has to be done. So this is one of the ways. This is not the only. There could be several ways. Like you can also team can also think of doing SWOT analysis. Like yes means strengths. Team can identify what are their strengths, and then weakness. What are their weaknesses? In that means those are things did not go well. And opportunity. What are the opportunities and what are the threats? If they don't do this, this will be a threat. So like this, team can also use a SWOT methodology. Or team can also think what are the top 3 to 5 things, what are the top 3 to 5 things could have been better. So like that, there is no standard guidelines. The team can come up with their own ways of doing sprint retrospective effectively. Okay, so these are the type of Scrum meetings which are normally done in a co-located Scrum. Okay, so I think this is in short, which is what to be there in the Scrum project. These are the meetings that are going to be held. Okay, so I'm done with the work with all this my presentation. If you have any question, you are free to ask me now.
Right. So folks, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask your question, and then I will tell you more about Whizlabs.
Okay, I think there are no questions. Okay, Raj,
Sure,
I'm
Niranjan.
done
I'm
with the
taking.
session. Maybe you can
Sure.
take over.
Yeah, there's a question from Joby. Is the PMP or PMI is better in the perspective of career? I think this is a general question. You can explain it.
Okay. I think the answer to your question, P or PMI-ACP. See, I think you mean PMI-ACP, not PMI, right? Okay. So PMP, from the perspective of job career, let me tell you like this: the Gartner, the Gartner comes up with IT report every year, and Gartner report is most valid report, and it is thought as one of the most genuine report. So Gartner has predicted in 2012, by end of 2012, 80%, at least 80% of the projects, software projects will be in Agile. Okay, so I think that is already come true. If you ask me, most of the projects in the organizations are moving either on Agile or they are moving to Agile. Okay, from the traditional waterfall approach. So that means, it clearly means that the team needs to have skills in Agile. Okay, so when I say skills, it is development skill, testing skills, and project management skills. So when I say project management skills, it is not traditional project management skills, this is Agile project management skills. So this course will help you to become more proficient in Agile project management. And because this Agile project management methodology is relevant in today's business scenario, I would strongly suggest team members to do PMI-ACP than the PMP type of certification. The PMP is more suitable traditional type of projects handling, like a waterfall type of methodology, like example in the construction industry, or let us say in the mechanical industry. So where the things don't change, and like example, the way we construct the dam, water dam, which we constructed 100 years back or 50 years back, and where we construct the dam today does not change. But whereas software, the way in which we do the software, in which we were doing software and where we do the software today has changed enormously. Okay, so that is why when things are so much dynamic, when things are changing, and also if you look at today's situation, the requirements are so dynamic, so that makes sense to have agile project management kind of approach more suitable for today's business scenario. So that by default means all team members who are necessary or asked to work in agile project should have this kind of skills. From that sense, I would suggest you to do PMI-ACP, and that is more better in today's scenario.
All right. So Niranjan, I'm taking back the access now.
Yeah.
And folks, let me share the details of Whizlabs with you now.